You can expect somewhere between 12 to 25 LPA in hand, and that's where I kind of fell in love with the whole field of data engineering. Even I was one of those students who was kind of running behind competitive programming. Data engineering is the foundation on that the whole data science or even the whole data thing is based on. One would be your online assessment, and then two hardcore technical rounds.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Learning Bridge. I hope you guys are doing good and staying safe. So I am back with another amazing podcast for all the aspiring data engineers. This time I will be having a conversation with a really talented data engineer from the Walmart itself. And the interesting story is that he started his career with the internship, that too in the data science, but he left data science just for the data engineering because he liked it that much. And that is the whole point to cover this podcast. He will share his full experience here. How did he move into data science? Then why did he quit it and started with the data engineering? As an entry level fresher, how did he crack the interview for Walmart, that too for data engineering role? How did he reach this package of close to 25 plus within the 1 year? What kind of crisp roadmap did he follow to crack such kind of top-notch companies for the data engineering role? Entire interview experience of Walmart, importance of programming and DSA for the data engineering interviews, and CTC compensation for the freshers in the data engineering domain. So that's why so many things to learn from this podcast. Make sure you watch this till the very end and let me know in the comment section which company you want me to cover next for the data engineering role. I will bring the data engineers from that company, and since I'm bringing such kind of amazing data engineering related podcast for you, I would request you to help other aspiring data engineers as well by liking this video in really big numbers so that it can get better reach. I'm expecting close to 2000 and 2500 likes, so you can definitely do that. And if you are watching any of my video for the very first time, make sure to hit the subscribe button and press the notification icon. And one of the most challenging thing with the big data related profiles that you won't be getting that kind of weightage if you don't have any good projects in your resume. And even you can learn big data related skill sets and tech frameworks if you haven't worked on large scale projects in practical ways. But I can recommend one amazing and dedicated platform for the big data related projects. So this platform is actually named as ProjectPro, which is world's first platform for the big data related projects, where you will find completely end-to-end solved more than 200 plus projects. And the good part is that these projects are actually based on real world use cases and designed by the top-notch engineers from top tech companies like Netflix, Chase, Walmart, Microsoft, Uber, Amazon, and many more. So you won't be wasting any kind of time here because everything is already there for you. Problem statement, full tech stack, full solution, guided videos, and the mentorship from those folks who have designed these projects. These projects are completely tested end-to-end with all edge cases, no bugs, nothing like that. Even industrial projects, let's say you're working in a company and you have the similar use case, you can use these code bases and you can impress your team, managers, everyone, and you can learn things as well. Very easy to understand and replicate everything, right? Nothing complex here or nothing in bits and pieces, everything at a one consolidated place. All these projects are designed modularly, so you can rapidly learn and reuse these modules like Spark, TensorFlow, PyTorch, Pandas, anything, like completely modular. So build a real-time streaming data pipeline using Apache Flink and Kinesis. So these are the real-world use cases. You can see the kind of tech stack has been used here. You can just come here, you will find all the details, problem statement, and then simply you can start your project here. And apart from that, you can check the project path, everything for the data science, big data, what are the projects like you have started, all projects, new projects you want to start. And even let's say you want to learn anything separately first, right? You can go into the tutorial section and you can find the good tutorials for everything. And since you are watching this video on my channel, you can get the exclusive offers. Use the link which is in the description and you will get some extra benefits and exclusive offers which can help you to avail these things. Thank you so much, Nitesh, for joining me on this podcast. And guys, we have another really talented data engineer from one of the best companies, Walmart, obviously. And just a suggestion, if you are targeting the data engineering role and want to work in the top 10 companies, then definitely Walmart should be your choice. And we will know more about the data engineering from Nitesh itself, like in the Walmart and in his past experience, and lots of things to learn from this video as aspiring data engineer. So Nitesh, it would be really good if you can introduce yourself to the audience and little bit about your academic background.
Yeah, so hi Shashank and everyone. So I have been working as a data engineer for about 1 year and 8 months. I'll be completing my second year midway this year. And so I have done my BTech in IT from SBTI Kanpur.
Okay.
And in college I used to do I have done a decent bit of competitive programming, also some data science. And really didn't pay too much attention on the coursework, to be honest, except a few subjects that I felt was relevant to CS, that is data structures, DBMS, OS, and I started working as a data engineer because before that I've also worked a bit in data science, and then when I joined Optum just after my college, there I was exposed to data engineering, and that's where I kind of fell in love with the whole field of data engineering, and since then I haven't been looking anywhere else, and that's where all my focus has been.
For the freshers who are watching and just like in their final years or just the entry level fresher, they can definitely learn a lot from you, how you moved into data science, data analytics, data engineering, and how did you realize that this is the good career choice. So moving on to the next question, like in your past experience, just after your college, you started your career as a data science intern, right? So how did you find the motivation to start your career in data analytics, and how did you get your first job as a fresher? And why I'm asking this question, because again, we know at least in the colleges, we are very much obsessed with programming, competitive programming, and eventually, or 80% students, 90%, they are looking forward to become a software engineer, right? So that's why I'm really curious to know about this story.
Yeah, so Shashank, I was one of those students who was kind of running behind competitive programming, and I was also not bad with it. I was pretty decent, but then I also started exploring things on the side, like what all things that can be done in the tech field, what are the new trends and all. So browsing some articles, I came across this field of data science in ML, and when maybe around year 2017, I guess, in the beginning there. So I explored a bit more, Googled stuff around, and saw what's happening in this. So I discovered Kaggle there, and from there kind of my data science journey started.
Okay.
I got to know how data and data science is being used to make these cool, awesome predictions about things, how they are being used for image recognition and sound recognition, things like that. So that's what kind of where I started. So I was basically juggling both things, competitive programming and data science at that moment. Then in BTech, you have to do an internship after your third year. So I was targeting data science internships because that's where my interest lied. So I made a profile on Internshala and started applying away. And then there is a awesome startup in Bangalore who was working with basically a merger of fintech and agri-tech. So that was kind of cool for me. I worked on crop price prediction. In that problem, I basically had to find all the data regarding agriculture in India and try to predict the crop prices. So that's what where my experience with data science came from.
You can let me know in the comment section if you are still in the dilemma of software engineering, other job profile. I will definitely try to help you in the comments, and you can let me know your experience. Let's say you were in different stream or you were interested in different job profile, but suddenly explored data analytics and moved into data engineering, data science, machine learning, anything. You can let me know in the comments. So moving on to the next question, Nitesh, and that is, since last 3 years, right, you are actually working as a data engineer, although started as a data science intern, but now completely into data engineering. So why did you choose data engineering over data science? This is also one of the, I think, a good question to ask, because most of the time I have seen folks running behind the fancy keywords as well in terms of the job profile. Let's say AI, ML, they think data or data analytics is all about data science, AI, ML. Probably they are not much aware about data engineering, or let's say data analyst, business analyst, BI engineering. So I think your answer can definitely help them to see the actual difference.
Yeah, so it was actually kind of luck by chance kind of thing. So I had a good experience with data engineering while I was working as a data scientist, because the data that I was working with was very unstructured and spread about. So I was scraping data from websites and those kinds of things. So even in my data science journey, I had some exposure to data engineering per se. And all I knew about data engineering at that time was that data engineering is a part of data science. But when I was hired on campus by Optum, maybe because of my profile, which has a lot of data wrangling, data cleaning, and these kinds of work, they actually gave me a post of data engineering. That is also because I had some exposure to data software engineering also. So data engineering, I can say, is basically a perfect merger of data plus software. So if you are someone who likes to build things and not just mathematical models, and if you like building things and you also like to work with data, I think data engineering is something that you might find really interesting. So that's where I actually started to explore more about this field as soon as I started working it, and I was really fascinated with how millions of lines of data is getting processed using things like Spark.
Yeah.
And something that maybe was not even possible 5 years back now is possible. And even when you are exploring some e-commerce website, you don't even know how much data is being captured right now, and that kind of data is really helping organizations basically win. You might have seen when Apple stopped Facebook from tracking their phones, how much they stopped price support. That because that is the power of data. Basically, in today's world, whichever company is having the right amount of data, that is the company that's winning. And maybe this industry has also matured a lot in the past 5-6 years, I would say. There was a time when maybe at least the business leaders started to think that data engineering is a second-class citizen in the whole data thing. But today is not that case. Today, everybody knows that maybe data engineering is the foundation on that the whole data science or even the whole data thing is based on. So if your foundation itself is weak, you cannot win in this data race which is currently going on.
You can probably decide, right? And sometimes it depends on the interest as well. And Nitesh found interest in the data engineering. Probably you kept on liking the data science. You can make career into that. So probably you can share that kind of thought in the comment section itself. Let's say you move from data science to data engineering, or what do you think? Let's say data science is better or data engineering. Just let me know in the comments. And on my channel, obviously, it is all about data engineering with some amazing companies. So it would be great, right, if you can share the entire interview process for the data engineer role at Walmart, like total number of rounds. I'm not exactly asking for the questions, but at least you can give them a hint, okay, related to this topic, they ask this questions. So it would be great.
Data engineering interview processes at Walmart is pretty similar to what is that for most of the big tech companies, I would say. So you would have around 4 rounds. One would be your online assessment, and then 2 hardcore technical rounds, and one would be your behavioral or managerial round. In the online assessment, you can have any kind of questions. Mostly it would be like you have 2 SQL questions, 2 or 3 SQL questions, and 1 or 2 easy medium kind of question on data structure and algorithm. Okay. And also interestingly, if you are a data engineer, you can also sometimes have DSA questions which are somewhat related to extracting data. Like you will have some strings or things like that, and you have to pull data out of that. So that is kind of interesting. Like some companies do that. That for data engineers, they will give you DSA questions which are somewhat related to what a data engineer would actually do at his job. So that is something that I really appreciate. And then you have 2 hardcore technical rounds, which would be testing you on data structures and algorithm. Obviously, that is like the base, and that is something you cannot fail. And then after that, you have SQL, on which you really need to be 10 on 10. If not 10 on 10, maybe 9 on 10. But SQL is somewhere that a data engineer needs to excel. And apart from that, you need to know how Spark works and the internals of that, how optimization is done. And if you have some previous experience with data engineering, that is very helpful and very appreciated. If you don't, in that case, you can do some personal projects so that you have good talking points and at least some practical exposure to how things are done in data engineering. And in round 2, you can expect like some Spark coding, which will be more hands-on and a little more advanced, I would say. Like in big tech companies, you can at least expect 20-30% more level of difficulty. So you will be expected to pass JSON data, and you will be expected to do some difficult thing in SQL, and then you will have to do the same thing in Spark also. So those things you have to do. Sometimes you will have to like zip some dictionaries and things like that. And if you are working with Scala, you need to know a little bit about functional programming, I would say. And then in the manager round, that is basically asking you about all the challenges that you have faced in your previous job, and how would you handle conflict between your teammates. Manager round is like somewhat standard in most of the companies. So
just one more follow-up question. So in, let's say, your hardcore technical rounds, were there any design related questions as well? Let's say this use case, can you design the pipeline for that? Anything?
In Walmart, the main emphasis hasn't been on like creating the whole system design, but yeah, you will be expected to do some short warehouse design, things like that. But there are companies like Flipkart, I know for specific, like they have that machine coding round where you will expected to create like a proper running code of the entire pipeline.
Cool. I think even the experience you shared for the entry level freshers as the data engineers in the Walmart, I think this would be the great help to understand the interview process for the Walmart and prepare accordingly. So, and even like any of you who are watching this video and let's say appeared in the Walmart interview for the data engineer or even cracked it, you can even share your experience in the comment section so that that information can reach to maximum number of aspiring data engineers. So moving on to the next question, Nitesh, based on your experience, what are the important and minimal required skill sets for a fresher to crack any good company for the data engineer role? Because I can understand, even you can understand, when we move forward and get more experience, probably as a data engineer, lots of things will be expected, right? But at least for the fresher level, based on your experience, what would be those minimal things which can help them to crack data engineer role in good companies?
So one would be the most basic thing would be like being good at data structures, at least those kind of structures, like you have struct in C++ where different kind of data is being stored, graphs and linked lists. Like you don't have to be very advanced at data structures and algorithm, but your basics should be very clear. That's the least amount of thing that is needed. You don't need to do lead code hard, but lead code medium, easy medium, those kinds of things you need to know. Then there is SQL, which you need to be really a pro. So in that, things like dense rank functions and partition logic, order by, things like that you need to know, and common table expressions in SQL. So basically SQL you have to be 10 on 10 or 9 on 10 if you want to have an edge of all the candidates that are there. Then Spark you need to know, and if you are a fresher, preferably you need to have some kind of project. If not during work, then probably you can create a project on your own and do some personal project. But some exposure to batch processes and streaming is also good. And in today's world, everybody needs cloud, so some understanding of cloud is also very important. So these things are somewhat that you need to know.
Since you worked in the data engineering field, and as you even mentioned in the beginning, in your college you were too much into the competitive programming as well, right? And you know about the software engineering profiles, their interview levels for the like coding and all. So how much coding is required for freshers to crack data engineering interviews? I definitely know. I have explained so many times to the viewers that how much coding is required, but I just want other people to talk about it as well, so that they can get the confidence. Like if other folks from different companies like big tech companies are talking about like DSA is required but not the hard level or something, then they will get more and more confidence. So that is the whole purpose to ask this question.
So definitely not lead code hard. You do not need to be a lead code monkey to crack a data engineering interview. In rare cases you will be getting sometime maybe you will be getting like medium hard. But on average case, I would say you'll be getting easy medium questions on lead code and probably medium also. So if you are good with your fundamentals, and fundamentals like you have to be good with, that you should not ignore. But after that, you don't need to worry about doing hard questions. If you do like the standard questions that are there and like top 100 lead interview questions that are there on lead code, you should be covered. Around 80-85% of the interviews you'll be able to crack only if you know the standard questions.
So moving on to the next question, Nitesh, I have seen folks, and probably you might have got these kind of questions as well, that companies are not hiring freshers for data engineer role. So what's your thought on that? Do you also feel the same, or you think that now the scene has completely changed and off campus companies are hiring lots of freshers for the data engineer role? What's your thought?
So I would say that is not entirely true. So there are some companies that will be hiring for primarily for front end and back end, because they don't really have a lot of data engineering work. So you need to know which companies actually have data engineering work. So if you are going with those companies, they are definitely hiring freshers for data engineering. And bonus points if you have done some internship, or if you have some project experience into this data engineering role, because most of the companies, they tend to hire as a generic role when you start working. So if you already have some kind of exposure to data, you are very likely to get into data engineering. So if you want to get into data using these generic interviews, better to have your resume which has some exposure to data and data engineering.
Like last question for you, Nitesh, and that would be the end of our podcast as well. What's the salary bracket for the freshers in good product based companies? And specifically, again, I'm asking for the data engineer role.
For between 0 to 2 years, which are technically considered freshers, you can expect somewhere between 12 to 25 LPA in hand, and it could vary. Like it could go less than that or more than that, depending. But that's the average. I would say like 90% of the salaries this range will cover.
Data engineering is something you shouldn't worry about it at all. If you have any kind of myth or any dilemma that, let's say, software engineers or data scientists or these kind of profiles are getting paid well but not data engineering, so that's not true at all. And data engineers are definitely getting paid really, really well, equivalent to SD profiles. I have worked with Amazon as well, so I know what was the scene there, like among the data engineers and SD roles. So everything was equal based on the experience and the level of the profile you are working there. So great experience, Nitesh. Very informative, and I think this experience will help the other folks as well who are targeting these kind of companies, especially Walmart type of companies for the data engineer role. So they will definitely take some positive points from this podcast. And yes, like this video for better reach, because we both want to help the data community, and that's why I want this like experience of Walmart to reach maximum number of aspiring data engineers. So from my side, from the audience side, thank you so much, Nitesh, for coming here and sharing your wonderful experience.
I would like to add that I have when you are working in data engineering, you can even move to engineering management and even director level posts. And most of the good companies today do not differentiate between software engineers and data engineers. At least, in fact, I am having the title of software engineer right now, even when I am working as a data engineer. So in today's world, there is really no differentiation, if I can say. Like, very less differentiation is there.
Yep.
And I'm glad to be like a part of this podcast. Your channel has really helped me when I was making the switch.
Great.
So I hope this video helps someone. And also I have seen many folks who have been coming from different fields into data analyst and data engineering field. So yeah, it's really a good time if you're wondering if you want to start in this field. It's really a good time to do that.
Great. Thank you, Nitesh.
Thanks for having me, Shashank. It was a pleasure.
So that's what I had for you guys in this podcast. I hope you would have found it informative. If yes, then make sure to like this video in really big numbers. And if you're watching any of my video for the very first time and enjoying data engineering related content, make sure to hit the subscribe button and press the notification icon. I will see you guys in the next week with another amazing podcast. Till then, just stay safe, stay home, take care of yourself and your family too.